take. All right, guys, we are going to do a TIE Bomber energy management guide. So I'm going to create a dogfight on SLS custom match, and we're going to look at how we go about getting really good power management. Actually, going to change the routine. That's fine. Anyway, so I'm going to show a jet engine, then I'm going to show a slam engine. I'm going to show how the two are a little bit different here. So the very basics of bomber power management is like know the properties of how it works, right? So TIE Bomber is a shunting ship, which means that it only has two systems, weapons and engines, and it shunts between them. So if you see my shunt charging guide, you'll know that when you shunt to engines and you just leave power out of engines, you will just lose all that boost energy really quickly. And then if you shunt to lasers, but you have power and lasers, you'll like immediately start charging it. So what you can do is you can shunt to engines, boost drift, shunt power to weapons, and kind of like do this thing that I called shunt charging, where you essentially spend all of your time drifting with power and weapons, and you maintain a really high speed. I add one thing to this that I didn't mention in my shunt charging guide, which is I go power to engines, shunt, boost drift, weapons, and shunt to weapons. And the power to engines is important because, as we saw a moment ago, if I take my power out of engines while I have boost energy, it rapidly decays. You can see it disappearing constantly as I go there. So if I shunt to engine, so if I do this combo, you can see every time that I shunt back, I'm losing a little bit more energy than I would have before, right? So if I'm only shunting right now, I shunt back to engines and I'm all out of boost energy. Whereas if you put your power and engines first, you can do this with almost no energy forever. And this is online, by the way. So you can see in the bottom left here, I'm recharging just a little bit of that base engine energy. The energy that you can pull out of, but if you pull out of it, leaves you dead in the water if you're flying straight. So if I try to let me try to get rid of all this energy here. Let me go slow. And if I shunt everything out of engines here, I'm just gonna be slow as a duck. I'm not gonna be able to really move around or anything. Like it'll just leave me extremely slow. Other things to note really quickly. If I have power and engines, I turn faster than if I have power and weapons. And this is exacerbated if you're firing rotary. This is rotary with power and weapons. This is rotary with power and engines. See how much like this turn rate is reasonable for shooting an AI at half speed. This turn rate is really not. This turn rate's really bad. So to think about so we have two basic ways that we generate power on really one way that we generate power on a jet engine TIE Bomber. Jet engine TIE Bomber generates boost energy twice as fast as a regular TIE Bomber, or just really fast in general. So you can see it only takes a few seconds to actually charge up the boost energy up to full with jet engine. And so what you can do then, every time I get maxed out, I just shunt balanced, and it just keeps adding to my energy pool, and it just keeps building it all the way until I have full boost, full weapons. And you can even do so say you want to do just gonna get rid of some energy here. Another thing you can do is if you have a lot of boost energy, you don't have a lot of weapon energy, you can just straight up shunt to weapons, and that's fine. And then you're still charging up all of your boost energy just fine, all of your engine energy, and then you have a lot more overcharged lasers to work with. You can just shunt to weapons again, and you can do that. And that's a good way to speed up your farm. Just shunt balance whenever you want to, and what you do is you mix that with boost gasping, see my guide, in order to do a lot of AI farms. So if I'm on this map S-list and I want to go across the map for some packs, I can boost skip over, power to engines, half speed, do a lot of rotary, fire my multi-locks, and jump balance, and I just have infinite energy. And then once I'm done with that pack, I boost skip or boost gasp over here. I can shoot the engines if I need to, and as soon as I get over to the pack I want to shoot, more shooty, more power and engines, more charging, more pretty decent turn rate while I'm shooting at these packs, right? And what you would do is, like, I would imagine, like, if there's a pack flying out here, I would imagine, like, boosting so I get behind it, and then flying straight behind it while shooting all the AI with rotary. So that's how you farm, right? Power and engines, shunt balance, shunt to engines if you need to, but not really any, and then shunting to weapons if you like really want like the extra like overcharged rotary power, but you don't really need to, and it's a little risky. So I like shunting balance all the time. I don't really need the extra DPS. I just need to make sure I always have the mobility. If you shunt to weapons all the time, you run the risk of like doing something like this, where you can see my maneuverability is much less than when my power is, than when I have a lot of energy in engines. So again, one more time, this is with less than 100% power and engines. My speed's like 30, it's going up slowly. And this is, and then with more than 100% power, energy and engines, I burn pretty normally and can move around for quick fire. So that thing I was showing you guys before, here's how you orbit like a cruiser and do a lot of damage with the rotary cannon. Boost drift, farm weapons, shunt weapons, right? Dead drift, shunt to weapons, like pretty simple stuff, right? That's your first step. Is boost drift, power to weapons, shunt to weapons, right? And you just drift and you shoot stuff, right? But for the most people, it stops there, and they just keep flying straight and they keep shooting, and they don't really do anything else with it. Here's what you want to do. You want to, after that, power to engines, shunt to engines, throttle to 0, and then start your boost drift, power to weapons, shunt to weapons again. All right, so power to engines, shunt engines, boost drift, power to weapons, then shunt to weapons, then shoot. So if I think of this like a fighting game combo, right? At 0 seconds, what we're doing is, so if we start with all our energy, with enough power in engines that we can boost and drift. We start with making sure our throttle is less than our current speed. That's like step 0.0. All right, and then step 1 is power to weapons, boost and drift all at once. That's it. That's at like 0 seconds. Before 0 seconds is the throttle 0. 0 seconds is power to weapons, boost, drift, and then you shunt to, at 0.3 seconds or 0.5 seconds, you shunt to weapons. Then when you're done, power to engine, shunt to engines at the same time, and then repeat from there. Boost drift, power to weapons at the same time, shunt to engines 0.3 seconds later, do your drifting, power to engines, shunt to engines, and repeat. So essentially, you can do this really quickly on good latency. You just delay, again, the shunting to weapons a little bit more if you're finding that your drifts aren't engaging. So let's try and show an example of that. Right there, it stalled out. Then there again. So I'm hitting the inputs, but you can see there's like this, every once in a while there's like this delay where I don't actually get up to 200 speed. If you watch the bottom left here, there's times where it's going up to like 120, and that's because of server lag. You need to wait a little bit for the server to catch up to the fact that you hit boost and drift before you hit shunt, because shunts, for some reason, whatever reason, are like server side or something. So if you hit a shunt input too early, it like cancels out like your drift input before that. So one thing you'll notice about this is that I'm not really losing any energy as I do this. I'm maintaining about 3/4 overcharge on my lasers and 3/4 to full overcharge on my boost energy. And why is that? So you can see that in the bottom left here, my boost, my engine energy is recharging over time. It takes about a second to start charging. And this is what lets you just continuously do orbits or even just do evading maneuvers with any type armor engine, right? This is not exclusive to Jet, this is not exclusive to Slam, but it does depend a little bit on latency, but even then you can work around it. And so you can see, right? Look at my speed, it's really, really high. It's bottoming out around 150, but it stays really high for a really long time. So that's 190 there. If I go in straight line for long enough, it'll get to like 220. Yeah, there it is, 220. And it's really, really, really good for Like, I can just essentially keep doing this constantly. I'm not really losing energy. Nope. I will if I mess up the drip, though, for the timing. And I can use this to essentially evade forever. I'm at, like, what, like a 24 drifts now in a row? Right? So this is like... It's very much like perpetual shunt charging with the TIE Fighter, the main difference being that if you're already at half energy, like this, you're not really going to gain it back very quickly from a long drift. You'll gain it back eventually, but it's a lot slower. It's a lot slower. It relies more on the passive engine generation than the weapon generation. You can combine this with multi-drift for really strong defensive results. As shown here, right? Multi-drift, 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 drift, multi-drift, multi-drift. And you can evade really, really well. So that's the power management for the TIE Bomber, guys. Oh, I forgot. I almost forgot. We are also doing Slam Engine really quickly. So Slam Engine is an interesting option. It's not a better option, but it's a interesting one. So let me pull out the Slam Engine TIE Bomber here. So the Slam Engine, what the Slam Engine basically does is it doesn't give you the doubled boost generation that the jet engine does, but it stops energy decay. It stops the boost energy decay. So if I put my power and weapons and I have all of my energy in boost, it won't decay. It won't decay at all. So what I can do with the Slam Engine is I can boost drift and just be real lazy about it. And just boost drift, right? And I just shunt to engines whenever I feel like I need more energy, right? And this is actually faster by a little bit than the very technical shunting technique I was showing you earlier. It's not better necessarily, because you're giving up that very large downside of not having double boost generation. So, but this is much, much easier for just strictly evading and making something like a flagship attack run or something, right? But it is much slower for farming. So how much slower is it? Well, let's see. So before Jet Engine, I was able to basically always have a lot of energy in both engines and weapons while shooting stuff. And then I could boost skip over somewhere and I could shoot stuff and it would be fine, right? With Slam, you don't get a lot of it. You don't get a lot of the extra like energy generation bonuses. You will hemorrhage energy over time, and it feels real rough sometimes, because you'll be at net less than 100%. You'll be like here, you'll be so low energy to the point where if you want to shunt into weapons and you balance your energy out, your engines will be below 100% for a second, and you'll have slower turn rate, and you'll just run out of energy a lot. You can do this to travel more, but you can't shoot while you're doing it because you have to shunt all of your energy into engines in order to boost around. So there's a lot of downsides to using this. And when you're orbiting cruisers, you're going to want to do the proper shunt charging technique anyway, because that's what gets you your energy. And it gets you the same amount of energy on Slam as it does on Jet Engine. And you're already doing this on cruisers. You should be. I hope you are. So you essentially just need to also train yourself to be able to do this without Slam Engine, or while you're evading, right? So right, this isn't much different from the straight up boosting like this. It's maybe a little bit slower. But you can see even here, right, when I immediately shunt into engines before, or right now, right, I'm not really maintaining the amount of energy I was, even though I'm boosting at about the same cadence. This is the same cadence of boosting, but I'm maintaining energy much better than I was with just holding power and weapons. And I can shoot. And I can shoot at almost no cost. This is how I do the orbits. This is how we get insane capital ship damage with TIE bombers. And this is how you stay alive. So I recommend people, the other big thing about using SLAM, people who use SLAM don't learn good energy management. Because what happens then is you get used to lazy power and weapons shunting, or not shunt charging, basically, right? You get used to just holding power and weapons, just shunt when you need it, and you don't learn good mechanics this way. This is the main reason, like, I don't like it, is because the mechanic, you just don't learn mechanics. You learn, like, oh, you have to save your boost energy and stuff. It's like, well, you could do that, or you could do this way, which has more directional changes, faster, that you have to worry less about, that you even, with jet engine, remember, as soon as you shunt to engines, you start charging boost energy. So if you find yourself, with jet engine, right? If you find yourself in here, and you have a moment to breathe, and you can charge some energy, jet engine charges super fast. So you would already have, so the SLAM engine just after like 10 seconds here, has like half a full boost bar and like 100% power out of weapon, 100% weapon energy. Jet engine would probably have fully overcharged both systems at this point. And you just gasp around with your extra energy until you get down to like the point where you don't have those systems overcharged. And then you're happy-go-lucky, like go farm AI or go shoot players or whatever, right? But SLAM engine just doesn't have like that force multiplier that really gets you going on the flips, on the AI farm train, or on just generating energy for you to use for damage or whatever. It just doesn't have that. So I very much prefer jet engine. And I think that's it, guys. Any questions before I sign off? Nope. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. This guy will be going up on my YouTube soon, TM-ish. We'll try and get it up soon. Have a good night, and I will see you guys next time.